Hi everyone, I'm Dick Beardsley. Welcome to the fishing scene. Hey folks, you know what? When it gets to be the middle of the summertime and the water temperature's way up there and the daytime temperatures in the air is in the 90s like it's been the last few days, I'll tell you what, bass fishing can still be pretty gosh darn good. And now there's a couple different areas that you want to concentrate on. You'll find those bass sometimes right up along the edge or underneath the docks. And that's what we're doing right now, is what we're doing. We're throwing a 3-inch tube, and what we're trying to do is get as close to the docks as we possibly can, or even skip it underneath it if that's a possibility. And by doing that, a lot of times on those hot, sunny days, those bass will be laying right underneath in that shade, and boy, you can have some fantastic fishing. Later, right in there, underneath that dock. Let's see if there's a big old bass sitting in there. Now what you want to do, folks, is just work that tube or plastic worm real slow and really concentrate. Now I got it hooked up on a little weed there. Really concentrate on watching that line. Because when you get in that hot weather, sometimes those fish they just aren't real enthusiastic about really smacking a bait a lot of times. But if you cast it into their zone, now remember, you're up in shallow water, so a lot of these areas have a pretty good weed growth going. Like right now, I'm pulling up on a little bit of weed, and if you can kind of work that loose a little bit, I got that one pretty good. If you can work that loose a little bit, and let that bait fall back down, boy, that's about as good as it gets. I'll get back up here. See if we can't get one of these fish to get enticed. Now, if you're not catching anything up real close to the docks, try it a little bit deeper. There's one. Not a very big one, but it might even be a sun. Look at that. Sunfish took that tube. I mean, look at that. He inhaled that tube, actually. Golly. Little sunfish taking that 3-inch tube. Don't be afraid either, folks, to flip that bait right up along the shoreline. You might only be in a foot of water, but sometimes those bass will be hanging up in there, especially earlier in the day, or if you get on a lake where the sun is up, but you'll have one side of the lake where it's a little more shady. A lot of times those bass will move up into that shade. Even though it's sunny out in the deeper water, actually they'll move up to where it's shadier in the shallow waters because where the sun is at. And you can catch those fish right up in that real shallow water. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. All right. Boy, look at that, folks. Whew. Now that one wanted that bait. He got that one down in there. I'm going to take a look at this. All right. And you know what? He got it down there far enough to where we are not going to let that little bugger get hurt.
Don't go away. There's more bass fishing in just a moment.
Boy, that one come in right next to the dock there. Right in the weeds. Right in the weeds. Come here, buddy. There we go. There we go, about a pound bass. Boy, he hit that bugger good too. What I did was, folks, too, I tried a different color. You know, don't get stuck on one color. Now, I've been out here, and recently we've been doing real good on like a purple, blue fleck type of color on the tubes, and that wasn't producing this morning for me. So I flipped over to a white tube, and bingo, I got a fish. So we're going to keep working these docks. And now also, when you work these docks, let me see, yeah, you can see them a lot better with Polaroid sunglasses on, but even without them, you can see where the edge of the really thick weeds are. And so on this particular docks here that we're at now, the weeds are really, really thick up there. So I'm going to back out just a little bit, like I did on that last fish. I mean, I cast that one up there, but he didn't hit it until it was out a little bit deeper. But you can actually see where there's a little bit of a drop-off where the weeds don't be quite as thick. And that's where that last fish, even though I cast it up into the docks, it didn't hit that lure until it got on the little deeper edge here. So we're going to kind of work the edge here. Now, you got to remember, remember that. I mean, when you're out there, try to come up with a pattern. That's what we're trying to do here this morning, is come up with a pattern. We've been hitting the docks. Now, I hit the dock that time, worked that bait back out, and when it dropped off into that little bit deeper water, now it wasn't a lot deeper, but it was a few feet deeper, but the key there was there were less thicker weeds there, and boom, that fish hit. So now I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on that outside of those real thick weeds. That's the key to having really the reason right there why you need Polaroid sunglasses on, because I can see that edge really, really well. And we've talked about this before with all species relate to edges of things, whether it be the edge of the weeds, the edge of where it drops off into deeper water, could be the edge of a boulder or a bar or whatever it might be. And I can actually see. Now, if you get a few grass on there, make sure you get that off of there. And I'm just going to pitch it back out there along that edge again and see if we can get something going. I was working that bait really slow. There's one. Oh, right along that edge. Not a real big one, but it's a, come on, buddy. Keep him out of the trolling motor if I can. Fling him up here. Now, folks, you'll see that I switched back to a purple. I cast that white one a couple of times. Nothing happened. So I picked up the rod with the purple one on, and boom, got about a, not a big bass, but a pounder, about a 14-incher or so. And that's what is nice. I don't mean you have to have, a dozen rods in your boat, but if you could at least have a couple rods that, if you're out there, whether it be walleye fishing or bass fishing or whatever kind of fishing, have a couple rods with a couple different types of lures on them or different colored baits. That way you can pick up and, you cast a few with one. If you don't get anything, pick up the other one, cast another one. And what it does is it just saves you a lot of time. Because when these fish in this kind of weather, and even when they're on a really good bite, all of a sudden, they might just quit. But you throw a different color out there at them, boom, they might just hit her back again. So we'll flip this purple one back out there.
There's more of the fishing scene. Stay tuned.
There's one. Come here, buddy. Oh, he got in the grass on me. There he's coming out. Here he comes. Come on, buddy. Boy, even for not a real big one, they sure can dig down. Here we go. Come here, buddy. Yeah, you can see the grass, folks, there on my jig. He hit it. Oh, come here, pal. He hit it coming right off. Again, I cast it right up on the edge of those real thick weeds, and he hit it right when he come off of there. There's one. There's one. That one's a little better, I think, maybe. Yeah, a little bit better. There's a little bit better fish, folks. There's a little bit better fish. All right. Hey, now, he's not a lot bigger, but you know what? It's a bigger fish. So, I'm not saying that we won't get any bigger ones here, but, you know, but that's a little bit bigger than what we've got so far. Again, just working off the edge of those thicker weeds there, and the fish are hitting it really light. You know, I'm really watching my line, and I could feel just a little bit of resistance, and then I held it for just a second, and I saw my line start to move just a little bit, so that showed me and told me right then and there that that's definitely, oops, I hit my trolling motor, that that's definitely a fish and not a weed. So we're gonna pitch her back out there. See if we can't get another one. Oh, there's one right there. All of a sudden my bait, I was jigging it, folks, and it just stopped. Oh yeah, about the size of that last one, maybe a little bit smaller. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. It's funny, one time I'll throw out the plastic tube with the purple color one. Come here, boy, that was hooked good. And another time, I'll throw out the white one and catch one that way. That's why it's important to have a couple of rods ready to go. Little guy right up in the weeds. He's still got a bunch of them on there. A little guy. Boy, did he engulf that tube. Look at that little fish, folks. And he got that tube all the way into, look at that little guy. You know what though? That little guy could grow up to be a state record someday. You never know. You never know. Put him back and give him a chance to grow, and got to give that little guy a lot of credit. Taking a tube that was about not a whole lot smaller than he was.
We'll be back with more largemouth bass fishing in just a moment.
Folks, well, we're on the move again. Now, this is one of those days when, you know, we're getting onesies and twosies, and so you just got to keep moving around. You know, you just can't get stuck on one spot. Now, there's some areas that we were fishing this afternoon that I've done real good at, but you know what, we got a one here and a one there, and so we could sit on that spot all day, and you know, those fish might come back in there, but what we've done now, we've moved to another spot, and we're working off the end of a steep point. It's all sand, a few lily pads around, but it drops off into some really deep water. Seeing if those fish are maybe sitting off of this point here. Again, points are something that, oh, thought it felt like something was starting to. Points are another good area to key on for any species of fish, including largemouth bass. Again, the reason being is that those points, a lot of times that you see them on shore, they're going to taper off and come out into the water also. So that point continues to extend out in the water. Now this one comes out maybe 15, 20 feet, not even that, maybe 15 feet, and then it drops off real quick. Sometimes those fish will be up shallower, up towards the top of that point, feeding on some maybe minnows up there. Other times they'll be out in the deeper water. You know, the water's a little cooler out there. It's a little sanctuary. Way if you're on a lake where there's a lot of boat traffic, those fish will slip off. When they really start getting pounded by boats, they'll slip off into that deeper water off the edge of those points. Well, folks, our weather conditions for today, we've got a south-southwest wind blowing, well, anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We're kind of on a little bit of a sheltered area right now, so it doesn't seem quite as bad. Our water temperature, believe it or not, is 78.5 degrees at the surface temperature. The air temperature, is about 85, calling for highs today in the 90s. And the water, I would say, is relatively clear today. Come on, buddy. Not a very big one. Come here, pal. Boy, they're powerful. They got some shoulders on them. Not a bad fish, but... Now, folks, I got this one. Get him back in the water. Right off the edge of the pads there. Now you're thinking, oh, it must have been in real shallow water. Well, actually, on this spot here, those pads drop off into some real deep water. Now, that fish may have been up in those pads, followed it out into a little bit deeper water before he hit it. Hard to tell. There we go. Not a real big one, but I got this one, folks, right off the end of that dock. Right off the end of that dock. Boy, I tell you, the fish are all running about the same size today, and they're running on the small side. Now, why is that? Well, that's a good question. One, I haven't been able to get the bigger ones located. Could have something to do with the weather, perhaps. Like I said, it's been very, very hot. Bigger fish are a little more lethargic. They may be a little bit deeper. We've been covering kind of our bases, though. We've been covering, you know, from shallow water to deep water, from humps to shorelines to docks. I might have, oh boy. That one, that was a weed, but man, telling you, that had my heart rate going. Now this dock is nice. A lot of docks you fish, they're up in shallow water. This dock is nice because the end of it drops off into some really deep water. So I'm just pitching right up into that dock there. I'm out in 18 foot of water here. Got a little hooked up on some grass. Any of those docks that you can find that have deep water close by, I'm telling you folks, those are awesome place for bass. There's one. I feel my line's tighten up. Come on, buddy. Come on. There he comes. There he comes. Let's wing him in here. Well, folks, I'll tell you, it's been one of those kind of days where we've caught a lot of bass that size. Pound, pound and a quarter, maybe a couple pounds at most. But I tell you what, we've been out here, we've been hitting the docks, we've been hitting the shallow weeds, we've been hitting the underwater points, the sunken islands, and each spot we've been able to catch a few fish on. We just haven't been able to trigger the big fish. But you know what? That's what fishing is all about. Some days you go out there and you can throw anything except the kitchen sink at them, and all the fish are big. Other times you really got to work for them. But if you work for them, have patience, have a couple of different rods set up with some different types of lures, different colored lures, things like that. Hey, you too can get into some pretty good fishing on a tough day. Please remember to practice selective harvesting. By doing so, we'll continue to have great fishing for years to come. For my camera gal, Raina Benson, I'm Dick Beardsley. I'll see you out here on the water.